If I can have everyone's attention now, we're going to welcome Michigan State grad Hannah Davis.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the Michigan State love right off the bat. I feel welcomed. Again, my name is Hannah Davis, and I am a very, very grateful Folds of Honor scholarship recipient. Folds of Honor has really doubly blessed my family, as my younger brother Blake also received the scholarship as well. Thank you all for having me here today. This is absolutely stunning, an incredible event, and thank you to everyone who put in the hard work to organize and coordinate, and for all of you who participated. It really means the world to me, and as a military child, as a Gold Star child, it's humbling to see the support that we have, because sometimes we don't see it. So I would like to start by introducing you to my dad, Jeff Davis. Right out of high school, my dad enlisted in the U.S. Army. He grew up in a super small town called Reed City in Michigan. And right out of high school, he enlisted in the U.S. Army. During his enlisted years, he served 2 tours as an honor guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Washington, D.C. So for those of you who have been to D.C. and seen the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and seen the sentinels who are guards there, I think it tells you a lot about who my dad was and the structure he had, and just how incredible he truly was. He also earned the Army Triple Tabber status, meaning he earned his Airborne, his Ranger, and his Special Forces tabs. He was then awarded a green to gold scholarship, which enabled him to go to college himself. So he went to Central Michigan University, where he met my mom. He met my mom at Central Michigan, and that is where I was born. So I was born and we lived in married housing at Central Michigan University. So after he graduated from college, he got his degree in education, and his goal was to retire from the Army and then become a high school history teacher. So after he graduated, he re-enlisted as an officer. He attended flight school at Fort Rucker in Alabama and achieved one of his lifelong goals, which was to become a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. Saturday, January 31st of 1998 began like every other day in the young Davis household. We were living in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My dad was at Fort Bragg at the time. And my dad gave us all quick kisses goodbye, went to work, left through the garage, and just had a normal day. Said goodbye. A couple hours later, my mom received a call from the captain my father had been flying with that morning during the training mission. And he said, "Ann, there's been an accident. Everything's okay. Jeff's okay. But there's been an accident. We need you to get to the hospital immediately." So my mom threw my brother and I in our car seats and sped to the hospital. The whole way, just praying that my dad wasn't injured so severely that he couldn't fly, because she knew how important flying was to him and how much he loved it. Upon arriving to the hospital, we were informed that there had been some confusion about the extent of my father's injuries. In the accident, he had suffered severe head trauma. It was inoperable. He was on life support, and that January 31st that started out so normal, those little kisses my dad gave me before he went to work were the last kisses we ever got from him. My dad was just 31 the day he died. My mom was 27 the day she lost her husband, and my brother and I were 3 and 1 the day we lost our dad. Now, being as young as I was truly too young to understand the gravity of what had happened. And when my mom told me that, Daddy has gone to heaven, all I knew to say was, well, who am I going to play Candyland with then? Because that's who he was to me. He was my best friend, my board game rival. And I do remember, grieving as a child. We would color pictures out of our coloring books and go bury them next to his headstone. a child's form of grief. I didn't have, obviously, the opportunity to have a lifetime of memories built with my dad. And the ones that I do have, or that I think that I have, I hope they're memories, but they also just could be remnants of stories that I've heard my family members tell over the years. But one that I distinctly remember is my mom. After she would give me a bath every night, she would wrap me up tight in a towel, like in a little cocoon, and tuck it in, and I'd get all wrapped up, and she'd put my arms in the towel. And I would run out into the living room, and my dad would say, "Where's your arms?" And I would bust out of my towel and then run around the living room naked. And I was 3, and this is embarrassing to say, but it was, I remember his voice, and that's the only thing I remember his voice saying was, "Where's your arms?" And I never want to forget that. And so having the opportunity to be here today and tell that story, as embarrassing as it is, at 27 to tell a story about running around naked as a kid, it gives me the opportunity to cement my dad's brain in my head a little bit more, and I never want to forget that. So just the opportunity to tell the story means the world to me. My dad missed a lot of milestones. I walked across my high school graduation stage, and he wasn't there to watch. I walked across my college graduation stage, and he wasn't there to watch. And just this past October, I walked down the aisle at my wedding to a veteran, and my dad wasn't there to walk down beside me. We, as a family, after my dad passed away, we grew up away from the military influence. We moved back to Michigan, which is where both of my parents were from. And I am lucky that my mom did remarry. She remarried a golf pro, believe it or not. So I feel at home here. My mom saved what she could for college for us from our military benefits. She just each month stored them away and saved for college. But by my sophomore year, I was like, holy cow, I need loans already. So I had a job that I worked in between classes, and that job was actually at a golf course. And I was working the front desk. I was working at the golf shop at a course in Lansing, Michigan. And the pro there was doing a fundraiser, and he had me taking pledges for a marathon that he was doing. And so for a few weeks, I was taking pledges from the membership for this fundraiser he was doing. And the day of the event, I finally said to him, what is this event? What is this nonprofit that you're raising money for? And he said, oh, it's Folds of Honor. And he explained to me what it was. And I looked at him and I said, I think I might apply for that. I think that might qualify. I should probably apply for that. He's like, what do you mean? And so I explained it to him, and he immediately called Folds of Honor, and the Folds of Honor journey began for me and my brother. So I think it's kind of cool that I was actually raising money for Folds before I even knew what it was. I am really, as I mentioned before, in terms of being able to tell this story, Folds has been very impactful for me financially. I am very grateful that like I said, I'm 27 and I don't have any student loans, and thank goodness my husband went to West Point, so he doesn't either. So we are very lucky. And more so than even the financial support that we received from Folds, the family that we've gotten from Folds has been the most impactful for me. The Folds family is truly that, a family, and they reach out to you and they care and they text and they check in. And having grown up away from the military after my dad's passing, I had never met, until I got involved with the Folds of Honor, I had never met another child who had been through what I had been through. I was 21 years old before I ever met someone who had been through what I had been through. So Folds is financial support, but it's also a family, and it's therapy, and it's healing. I want to read you a brief essay, I guess I will call it, that my dad wrote during his in-between years when he was enlisted and when he re-enlisted as an officer. As I mentioned, he got his degree from Central Michigan University, and a couple summers ago, I went home to Michigan for the 4th of July because there's no better place to be in the summer. And we were digging through some of my dad's things, and we found this essay that my dad had written, packed away that no one had ever seen. And it really meant a lot to me. So I want to read you just a brief synopsis, a little brief clip of this essay. It says, "My MIA POW bracelet gives me a sense of comfort and pride. It is made of silver metal, 1/2 inch wide, with many time-worn scratches and gouges. I think of this soldier who gave his life in South Vietnam. I reread his name for the 1,000th time. This soldier, who was from my home state, has almost become a part of me. I wonder how he died, and in thinking of this, I wonder if someday my name will also be wrapped around someone's wrist. This thought and the fact that I wear his name give me some comfort in knowing that I would not be forgotten." And as heartbreaking as that was to read, I know that what I am doing and the opportunity Folds has given me to tell his story is ensuring that he's not being forgotten. Folds has educated his legacy, and now I have the opportunity to tell you and make sure he's not forgotten. And what I think is really special is that, at the start of the day today, my dad's name was metaphorically wrapped around my wrist, but now he can be metaphorically wrapped around all of your wrists as well. And we're kind of giving him that little reassurance that we're not going to let him be forgotten. So, as I mentioned before, the time and energy and you just being here today is honoring his sacrifice. It educated his legacy, and I am so glad to be able to stand here and help raise money for families who are going through what we went through. As I said before, I graduated from Michigan State. I now have my dream job working remote for a tech company, and I am very grateful every day that I've been given the opportunities that I have. I encourage you to continue this noble mission. Thank you for everything you've done. Become a wingman, participate in the auction over there, the live auction, come back next year and do this again. What you're doing, the time you're putting in, the effort, it really is changing lives, it's changing futures, and you are truly honoring those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. So thank you.